have you ever played the game Yeti and My Spaghetti?
I have not ever played that.
Okay, so the game is you got to pull out the spaghetti without making the Yeti fall into the bowl of spaghetti, right? So it's almost like that. Sometimes it's challenging. Sometimes you have to pull that one fiber out of the bottom of the bowl. And sometimes that can be challenging also.
Welcome to Connected Conversations, the official podcast of Kosciuszko Connect. Kosciuszko Connect is a subsidiary of Kosciuszko REMC. Since 2021, we have been providing fast, reliable, fiber-to-the-home internet service to rural portions of northern Indiana. On Connected Conversations, we talk about fiber internet, technology, community, and how to navigate the digital world in which we live. I am your host, Laura Cini. Thank you for connecting with us today.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Connected Conversations. Today, we are going to be talking about the ins and outs of fiber internet installation here at Kosciuszko Connect with our fiber maintenance and splicing technician, Adam Churchill. Hi, Adam. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for asking.
Awesome. Thank you for being willing to be a guest on our podcast today.
Oh, you're welcome.
What is your position here at Kosciuszko Connect, and what do you do on a day-to-day basis?
So my position here is I'm a fiber technician. I basically work anything fiber related. I mainly work on huts, splicing to repairing fiber. So I get my hands into everything, honestly. So I'm excited about that. The company's been great to me, learning all these new fiber positions. So
that's awesome. And you guys definitely do a great job providing internet for our customers on a day-to-day basis. What drew you into this line of work? Have you always been interested in technology and installation?
Well, that's a long story. So I started out, as a college career learning carpentry, and I was working for a carpenter, and he said, "Hey, why don't you do some electrical work for me?" I'm like, "Sir, I don't want to know anything about electrical. I don't even care to know it." And he basically told me, he said, "Hey, if you're going to work for me, you're going to learn it." So I learned electrical, and within like 2 weeks, I understood it. Like I got it, like it clicked. So from there, I got into small voltage, doing DirecTV, and then I went to AT&T. So I've been doing it 20 years now.
Wow, it's really cool to hear how just like a summer job and a summer thing turned into your entire career.
Yeah, if I wasn't forced to do something, I don't think I would ever learn to do it. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that guy or the guy I worked for said, "Hey, you're going to learn it," So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's important to have people who push us to learn how to do new things. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you share any memorable moments or projects from your career so far?
Yeah. So I think the biggest moment for us as a company was the time when we first had our first customer installed. And I remember we were so proud as a company knowing that we finally built it and then finally got something to work, right? So having that first customer installed was a memorable moment for the team, for all of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. Starting Kosciuszko Connect and getting that first customer was definitely a huge accomplishment for our company, and it was a whole new territory that we walked into, and now we have I forget how many thousands of customers that we have now.
Yeah, we're getting close to 10,000 now.
Yeah,
I think we're at 9,400, somewhere around there.
Yeah, so it has been an incredible journey for sure. For those who might not know, can you explain what fiber optic internet is and how it works?
Yeah, so it's a type of broadband connection that uses light to transmit data over a thin piece of glass or, fiber plastic. It works by converting electrical signals into light pulses, which travel through the fiber, and then it's converted back to an electrical signal, and then it's received at the other end, which is like our ONT. And then from there, from our ONT, it goes into our router, and then it distributes the Wi-Fi service throughout the house.
That's interesting. Can you walk us through a typical fiber installation process from start to finish?
So when a customer calls in for our service, normally we'll have a drop. Usually at that time, it takes about 2 weeks, because they got to call and locate, and then our drop crew will run fiber to their house. I think when the time for a customer to get excited is when they see utility flags in their yard, and they're getting close to getting our service, right? So you see our flags, you're getting close to getting our service, be excited. So from there, once they get the drop crew done and the fiber to the house, Question I always get is fiber all the way to my house. And yes, it is. It's all the way inside the house. Then a home installer comes out there. There's 3 of us techs in-house, and there's 2 contractors that help us. So we basically, once you have your drop done and we come to your house, we'll figure out where is the best spot in your house for your service, right? So typically we like to look at a center location of your house so the internet can distribute all equal. So like a common spot for internet service would be like in your living room. I know most people don't want to see it, but to give the best service throughout the whole house, it kind of needs to be centrally located, right? So from there, if you need a mesh extender, we offer extenders, say if like your garage is not getting good service, or if, like in your bedroom or your bathroom, it's important to get service throughout the whole house. And another thing is the pole barn. People like to say, hey, my pole barn, how do I get internet to our pole barn? That's a question, we have to do a site survey and take a look at it, see how we can get you internet to your pole barn.
That's interesting. And yeah, getting internet to all the different areas of your house can be a challenge. And a lot of people, I've heard that they think they can stick their internet router like in the basement, but then, then they can't get signal everywhere that they need in their house. So that's why we have technicians like you that know all the ins and outs of this and can help our customers get everything set up correctly, make sure they have good, solid internet connection everywhere in their house that they need to, or even their pole barn.
Yes. And I want to add to that. Sometimes, walls affect the Wi-Fi signal. I know some people think microwaves also affect the signal. So windows, anything that can block the signal, every house is different. So that's why you need a professional installer to basically find out the best location and see where you have the best signal for everything.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why Kosciuszko Connect is the place to call, because we'll come out, we'll help you set it up, we'll get everything set up correctly, rather than trying to set it up yourself when you don't know all of these different factors that can affect your internet signal.
Yes, correct.
That makes sense. What are the biggest benefits of fiber optic internet compared to other types of internet connection?
Yeah, that's a good question. So fiber has a it's more resilient, it's more reliable. What I really like about fiber is it can go 100 miles without repeating it. Like if you deal with coax, you can only go so far, right? So an average length of a coax is like 350 feet or 300 feet, and then you have to repeat it. With fiber, I think the most we got right now is like 25 miles, right? So it could go up to 25 miles without repeating it. So
out of curiosity, like how many other different types of internet connections are there available on the market? Do you know?
So it started out with dial-up, then it went to DSL. So there's different connections out there. I know there's companies out there that use phone lines, and then some companies use coax. So fiber is the next best technology today, right?
Yeah, it makes sense that it's the best because it travels at the speed of light. So obviously, it's the fastest that we can provide to our customers.
Yes, correct.
What's a day in the life of a fiber install technician like? Are there any surprises or challenges that you face on a regular basis?
Yeah, so you have your daily tasks that you do. Between us 3 techs, we all have our specific tasks that we're doing that day. I think what can be challenging in that day is if you're on a task and just say one of the main lines gets cut, people are down, right? So when we see people down, we see people upset. And so we kind of drop everything we're doing for that day to get everybody back online. So it's challenging because you got to pull off what you're doing and then go back to it later on. And hopefully, you can finish that task. But there's sometimes that you'll have to work late nights. Like there's nights that the fiber damage was done throughout the day. Well, we just got them up and running, but that night we're going to have to cut it out, that bad section, and redo it throughout the night process. And working through the night is a challenge sometimes also. It's harder to see. Sometimes it's colder. Obviously, the lighting is not as good. You don't have that daily light.
Yeah, because you have to get the fiber internet back up regardless of, weather or time of day. So we definitely appreciate our fiber optic technicians who, work really hard to keep our customers' internet up and running.
Yeah. So, and another challenge too, I'll throw this in there, is the environment. Sometimes it could be super cold out. or it could be a hard rain, or it could be windy. So the environment is a challenge too, because the fibers are like the size of a hair. So you're dealing with the size of a hair, and then you have the wind blowing at you, and you're like, okay, wind, please stop so I can really focus on these fibers, stop blowing around. So yeah, so that's a little bit discouraging at that time, when you see your fibers moving and you want to get everything finished. And
Yeah, that sounds extremely challenging.
yeah.
This is why we hire talented people who can overcome these challenges, because that sounds extremely difficult.
Yeah. So have you ever played the game Yeti and My Spaghetti?
I have not ever played that.
Okay. So the game is you got to pull out the spaghetti without making the Yeti fall into the bowl of spaghetti, right? So it's almost like that. Sometimes it's challenging. Sometimes you have to pull that one fiber out of the bottom of the bowl. And sometimes that can be challenging also.
Yeah, that does sound challenging. I'm sure you've had lots of practice, but still challenging.
Yeah.
Are there any myths or misconceptions about your job that you'd like to clear up for our customers?
A common myth is that the fiber is fragile and can break easy. Fiber cables are designed to be durable and can stand various environment conditions. So it's actually pretty tough. The fiber is, if you bend it more than 90 degrees, it could possibly break on you. And then if it breaks, then you have to start all over. So it is durable. It's reliable.
That makes sense. What tools or technology do you rely on the most when you're out in the field?
Yeah, so the tools I use the most are basically my hand tools. Just regular tools, screwdriver, side cutters. Those are the common ones, but the one I probably use the most is my fiber splicer. So in order to get connection to a certain location or house or a new location of a subdivision, I always have to pull out my splicer. And a lot of times you'll see me on the side of the road with a table, open, sometimes with an umbrella if it's raining, fusing splice fiber back together or into the new location. So that is one of my main tools that I use. There's a tool that we have is a OTDR, which stands for a optical time domain reflectometer. Basically what that tool does, it sends pulses of light down the line, and it could tell me exactly where the break is at on the fiber or how long the fiber is, like how many feet. Sometimes it's challenging to find out where that break is at. So once I figure out the footage of the breakage, then I have to go on the map and try to figure out, the break. But anyways, the OTDR is something we use to find any enormities in the line, like if there's a broken fiber or if it's bent too hard or if you have poor signal. So that's what we use that tool for.
That makes sense, especially if you have like miles and miles of line and you have to find one little spot that has a little break or something somewhere. That would be an extremely valuable tool to have.
Yeah, especially when it's getting late and you're trying to find that that line where it's broke at, or to get our service back on to the customers. So yeah, it's a great tool to have.
That makes sense. Out of curiosity, what types of weather conditions or what types of situations causes line to break? Because you said it's pretty durable. So what generally is the thing that will cause it to break or go out?
Yeah, normally the fiber will break when the weather changes. What we're finding out is when it turns hot to cold or cold to hot, like extreme, sometimes the fiber will break. Normally it's not supposed to, but I think what happens is when they're doing construction and when they're ring cutting the fiber, I think they nick it. And then when they nick it, it doesn't heal itself. So then it just eventually breaks with that extreme pressure or of the barometric pressure. That's probably the correct word I'm really looking for.
That makes sense.
So it doesn't happen very often, but it could happen. It probably happened maybe once or twice a year. So those can get challenging to find the broken fiber.
That makes sense. What has been the most rewarding part of your job?
I think the most rewarding part of my job is knowing that I work for a company that I believe in. There's not too many places you can go and say, I'm proud of this service or I'm proud of my employees. Like, it's a very rewarding job.
Yeah, I think that is a sentiment shared pretty widely at our company. Like, everyone who works on the Kosciuszko Connect side, they're confident that they're providing a quality service to our customers and that what they're doing is valuable and important and it's well done and it's quality, and to be able to have that pride in what you're providing to the community is really awesome, and I think it's really rare. So
Yeah.
that's really awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any funny or unusual stories from installations that you'd like to share?
I mean, I guess like the funniest thing is maybe a dog chasing you,
Yep.
and me running away from a dog. Or I remember one time I was installing and the dog got in the beehive and then the bees started coming after me and I got
Oh,
stung.
no.
So, I mean, those are the stories like you don't want to remember, but
Yeah.
you look back like, oh, I guess that was pretty funny,
You can look back and laugh even though it was rough at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think anyone who has any kind of job where they have to go out and visit people's houses, they have to deal with the pets and any other unknowns like beehives. You never quite know in a day what you might run into.
Yeah, and I was kind of surprised. Like I didn't even know what was going on until I saw the dog going back and forth, and then I got stung, and I'm like, "Oh my goodness, that dog's in a beehive, and I'm still, I'm running away."
Yeah. How do you see fiber technology evolving in the future?
I would like to timestamp this if I could. I feel like fiber is the future. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. It's the best internet out there right now. So, maybe you never know. 20 years from now, I might be wrong, but I feel like fiber is, how much faster you can get at the speed of light. So, yeah, I think it's going to be the future.
Yeah, I agree. From what I've heard, it's the best quality internet out there. Are there any tips you have for maintaining a strong, reliable internet connection for our listeners?
Yeah, so I always tell people if you're having issues with your service, first thing to do is reset your router, reset your modem, or your ONT is basically the correct term. But I say modem because most people don't know ONT. What is an ONT? It's what we use instead of a modem. It's an optical network terminal. So I tell people to reset their equipment first. If that doesn't work, if it doesn't fix your issue, I would maybe look into the cable, the fiber line from the wall plate to your ONT. If there's like a hard bend in it, or if you see a break in that yellow line or black line that you have from the wall plate, that's something you might want to give us a call, right? Especially if it's broke, you probably are not going to have service. And if everything looks good inside, you reset the modem, ONT, you looked at the wall plate, and everything looks good. The next thing is, maybe go outside, take a look at the line from your box, the NID outside. Look outside and follow that line into your house and see if like an animal chewed it or the fiber line coming inside your house. And I guess taking a look around your environment. Also, if there's construction going on, sewer lines, landscapers, anything like digging outside, make sure nothing's out there that can cause your fiber to go down or your internet go down. So those are the like three things that I would look at.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look around, see what could have broken or gone wrong. What are the most common questions you receive from customers during installation of their internet?
The most common questions I get are, how is this service different than what I have? I always tell them fiber is most reliable, most consistent. Speeds are symmetrical. They're 100 megabytes per second up, 100 down. So if you have the 100 plan. And the other question is, will I get Wi-Fi throughout my whole home? And I always answer yes, as long as we put the router central in your house, everything should be good. And the question I always hear is, how do I get internet to my pole barn? I work in my garage or my pole barn. How do I get internet there? And I always tell them we have to do a site survey. There might be some custom work involved here and charges for that. So, yeah,
that makes sense. People want to make sure they have access to the internet everywhere in their house or property that they need to.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to share with our listeners about fiber internet or anything else that you do as a technician? Or did we cover it all?
Yeah, I think what I like to share is that we are getting into other lines of work. We're doing security cameras. So we're really excited about that. So that's one thing I would like to, I don't want to get too much into it, but having security at home is important. And so we're excited as a team to offer that to customers. So it's a new thing we're opening up to the customers, new service basically.
Yes, we are super excited that Kosciuszko Connect is now offering Arlo security cameras. And we're really, as you said, we're excited to provide that to our customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, awesome. Thank you for being a guest on our podcast today, Adam, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
If you would like to learn more about Arlo security cameras or have Arlo cameras installed by Kosciuszko Connect, call 574-269-0327 and our Kosciuszko Connect team will be happy to assist you. You have been listening to Connected Conversations, the official podcast of Kosciuszko Connect. From all of us at Kosciuszko Connect, thank you for connecting with us today.